Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. It's the Sunday night show. On Monday night live show, I've got Beth, I've got Kev, I've got Ricky. We've got lots to get into, and we're going to start off with the guy who's trending at the moment. We've got loads to talk about tonight. We were just talking about McTominay and Pogba before we went live, so we will talk about those. But Pochettino has been on Monday Night Football. He's probably still on it, actually, and said that he's itching to get back into football, speaking glowingly about David De Gea. But obviously, he would want the Manchester United job. What I would say is that it's not a coincidence. This has not been planned by Sky. He was already going on Monday Night Football before we played Arsenal, because I mentioned it and said, if we don't beat Arsenal, it's going to be all about this. So I think Ollie's got himself to blame, really, because if he'd won yesterday, this Pochettino chat wouldn't even be happening. It's all because of the result yesterday. But we'll start off with you, Kev, because obviously we've heard from Beth and Ricky about the game yesterday. Do you feel that with Pochettino, it's now sort of becoming inevitable? And I say that in the sense that, do you genuinely believe, I know we're all pretty much want Ollie to succeed, but a lot of people I've spoken to in the last 24 hours are like, I want him to, but I can't get over that result yesterday. I think ultimately I'm not Ollie out, but I just don't think he's going to be the right man. What do you think about that? And this Pochettino is there, isn't he?
Yeah. And as I said the other week when I was speaking, I said, as well as Pochettino is waiting in the wings, he's not fixed up at another club, United will be continued to be linked with him. And this obviously falls in because of the shocking performances recently. Since I've been back on this show, we've, the Chelsea game we looked at, I think I started by saying he set up far too negative, showed far too much respect to Chelsea. Then we have a brilliant result midweek, which I don't think many person would have had 5-0 down. But then he's changed the team yesterday. We were talking in previous shows, Ricky even said about shoehorning players in. It's all about getting the blend right in the midfield, a system that works. And for him to change it totally yesterday, I mean, I honestly was embarrassed the way Man United performed yesterday. I think Roy Keane summed up what a lot of Man United fans thought after that game. And it's down to the fact that, yes, Solskjaer picks a team and sends them players out, but man for man out there against Arsenal, to run out over that white line wearing that, that badge, you should play for the shirt. The least you expect is a bit of effort, a bit of running around, look lively, for Christ's sake. It was absolutely pathetic.
You just know on that, Kev, just come back on that for a moment, because it was something I wanted to talk about in a bit more in depth. But is that not a damning verdict on Solskjaer, that these players clearly don't respect him? They don't respect us. I don't think they respect the club. They just don't. Yeah. You don't, like Roy Keane's right. You don't go out against Arsenal and hide behind tactics and stuff like that. But it does reflect on Ollie that, or do you not think there is a manager that can get what we need out of these players?
Well, we've had this problem since Sir Alex Ferguson left Manchester United. We've had players that have down tools under David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, and even Jose Mourinho. So, is it a mindset thing? Is the job just simply too big for some managers? Is there egos? Is there cliques in the dressing room that these managers cannot, the players are just, player power's massive in football at the minute. We were lucky to have Sir Alex Ferguson there so long. He ran the roost. Whatever he said, if you didn't like it, the likes of Beckham, Jaap Stam, Ruud van Nistelrooy, they were moved on. Ferguson seen the bigger picture. But at Manchester United at the minute, I'm convinced there's cliques inside that dressing room. And it's been going on for years. Like I say, previous managers, previous regimes, Roy Keane knocked the nail on the head yesterday when he said these players, which a lot of them have been around for previous regimes, they're going to throw Solskjaer under the bus again. You can see that it's actually going to happen. Pochettino is waiting in the wings. A lot of fans want to see Solskjaer succeed. We love him. Obviously, he's a club legend and that. But as much as results continue like this, the players won't be sold and moved on. It will be Solskjaer. And that's the sad thing. But, the Glazers and Woodward will make a decision. Will it be football-based? No, it's going to be financial, isn't it? The minute we're starting to look like we're not going to get in at the top four, they'll pull the trigger and the next manager will come in. They'll panic.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's strong rumours that certain players that are still in that starting lineup did force Mourinho out, and that's where the club went with. Beth, these rumours about Poch tonight, if people don't know about it, we knew Pochettino was going to be on Sky Sports Monday Night Football. I think as soon as we had a bad result against Arsenal, it was inevitable what was going to happen. He's come out, he's itching to come back. He's got a nice, long, relaxed hair. There's no grey. He clearly wants a job in the Premier League. What are your thoughts on that now? You know, you've had a bit of time since the match yesterday. Do you feel that there's an air of inevitability about this? Would you like Poch at the club? And do you believe that Solskjaer, can, not turn it around? Because I think we all know, like Kev says, we probably will win a couple of games, but the problem is consistency. And that for me is where I am. I'm like, I wouldn't sack him, but I don't believe we're going to get any consistency. So what are you thinking, Beth?
I mean, I agree on that point. I back Solskjaer. I want him to do well. I like him, but I mean, one place off relegation at this point in the season isn't acceptable, is it? And obviously, it's not going to come to the players. It is going to come to the manager. And inevitably, how many more losses can he have, especially at home, until it is inevitable that he gets sacked? And then if he does, what many options are there out there? I think there only is Pochettino, really. And he did do quite a good job with Tottenham. I mean, there's question marks whether he's a big top six manager. But I thought he laid in the groundwork at Tottenham really well, and he did get them to a final of the Champions League. I mean, I want Solskjaer to do well, but I don't think it's not just him. There's many factors. There's the board for one. There is him. He keeps chopping and changing it and not sticking to one style of play, accepting the losses and trying to build on it and improve that style of play. He keeps changing it, so that is on Solskjaer, and it's the mindset of the players. I mean, you see players there, like Arsenal looked 10 times more up for it than us yesterday. They were crashing into tackles, going into Rashford. You didn't see any of our players put a proper tackle in. I mean, you saw players actually ducking out of tackles. I mean, you saw people going to the floor, and you just don't see leadership out there. We've got basically no leaders. I mean, I could probably name 2 leaders in that whole team, and that's not good enough. And that's not going to win you games. It's certainly not going to win you a title, and it certainly isn't going to get you top 4.
I think it would be interesting. Somebody just said there, Chuck Roy Keane in the dressing room. I don't think it would last long, but I think it would be interesting, because I think maybe not as the manager, but as the assistant coach, if he'd do it, I think Ollie almost does need that, because I agree with what Dylan Taylor says. Ollie's not the problem, but he's not the solution. And I think that's sort of where I sit at the moment, Ricky. But to those people who are Ollie out, 1 point from 12 at home. And if we go back to last season, I think we drew our last 2 at home. So 3 points from 18 at Old Trafford. I don't care who you are. That is sacking form, isn't it? He's had 100 games. I know he got a third, and I wouldn't sack him, but you can sort of see why people are saying, he's never going to be the man. And actually, when you look at the form recently, are we just going to hide behind there's no fans in the ground? Because that, again, feeds in what's said to Kev. These players don't respect him. They're never going to respect him. If he's not the man to get the best out of these players, surely it's not looking good for him.
It's been absolute disastrous run of form. I said it when I was on the show after we'd won 4 games on the bounce 3-0, and everyone else who was on the show at the time was saying, "Oh, we'll get 9 points from Crystal Palace, West Ham, and Southampton." I said, "We won't. This will not continue." We were playing at the time with Greenwood and Rashford on the flanks. It's no good. It's still no good. And it isn't going to work. We're playing with forwards who are not too good enough at holding the ball up and bringing people into play, especially if Marshall's not there. And then there's not enough defending. There's not enough players behind the ball. I said it will not continue. We won't win these 3 games, and we won't. I didn't say we'd lose them, but I knew we wouldn't win them. And we drew 2 out of 3 games where most people thought we were going to get 9 points. And to be honest, it's been downhill since then. The same players were continuously used in the Europa League. It wasn't good against Copenhagen. It went to extra time against a team that probably won't survive in the Premier League. Then we got beat by Sevilla. Then the new season started, and he's still stuck. If you look back to the very first game, okay, Dan James actually started the first game, but he subbed him at half-time, and then he stuck with that team for a while, which was the same team. By half-time against Crystal Palace, it was Greenwood and Rashford on the flanks with Marshall up top, and then Bruno and Pogba in the middle. And what is absolutely frightening, we got beat by Palace 3-1 with that lineup. We got beat 6-1 by Spurs with that lineup. Unbelievably, do you know what? It might have been a good thing if we'd have lost to Brighton, because we should have lost to Brighton. But that's just.
Imagine if we did. You'd have to sack him then, wouldn't you?
island. It's a little bit of an island where you get to, and we've actually got the points. But they hit the woodwork 5 times.
We were lucky.
They line up again. They were just so lucky to win it. It was ridiculous, just ridiculously lucky. So that same team was poor last season. It's poor this season. He then changed it. Got a good win at Newcastle. Went with the back five at what's it? Didn't he? PSG, a good win.
Yeah.
But suddenly, back to it again. He used the same team against Chelsea that he used against Newcastle. A lot of people were up in arms about it. But then against Arsenal, he's gone back to Greenwood and Rashford. He's gone back to Pogba and Bruno. And it would look, you've got to hold your hands up. We were worse yesterday than we were against Chelsea.
Oh, 100 times worse, yeah.
Oh, he's got these blinkers on, like one of the fans. I don't blame the fans for thinking those players are all the best players, but I don't think Ollie should be thinking that. It's ridiculous.
Just to come back on you on that, Ricky, as well. I mean, look, you mentioned the end of the season last year where he basically had a best 11 and he stuck with it and he ran it into the ground and we ran out of petrol against Sevilla and sort of we got over the line just, didn't we, against Leicester? Yeah. This season, it's like he's picking the team drunk. He couldn't pick the same 11 if he tried. He just doesn't want to do it. And that's difficult. That's another reason for the fans to be confused, because I'm confused, is why did he was a manager that was picking his best 11, and this season he refuses to do it, whether he wins 5-0 or whether he's, won 4-1 or done well in PSG. All right, there's a formational change from PSG, but the team at home at Leipzig against Leipzig was 4-4-2 diamond, and then yesterday it was 4-4-2 diamond, but changes the players. I mean, Matic should have started. I thought that was one of the biggest things. Why do you think he's, how can you be consistent when your manager's not consistent with his team selection? Why do you think he's doing this?
In the first instance, he had to change the team. I mean, don't forget, he did more or less pick the same team against Spurs. When I say more or less, as I've just said, Dan James started against Palace. Greenwood was on by half-time. So for the second half against Palace and for the starting lineup again, I'm pretty sure the starting lineup against Spurs and the starting lineup against Brighton was the same as what the lineup was for the second half against Palace. But then having changed it from that, as I've just said, it went okay for a few games, but he's gone back to it. I would have thought after it had a good run. He still thinks that's his best lineup. He has gone back to it again. It is not his best lineup. It's nothing like his best lineup. And he's gone back to it, and he can't see the wood for the trees. He really can't.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's the thing, Kev. As we look forward now, obviously we've got Everton next week. Even if we beat Everton, it's 7 from 12 of these 4 crucial games, which is only just over 50% points-wise. If you look at what Ricky's saying there, we were lucky against Brighton. We could have drawn that game, so take 2 points off that. We'd have 5 points from 18. I mean, I've not really thought of it like that, but it's not going to get any easier. We just got a comment there from Jaden saying Southampton would beat us at this point. I think that's an insult to Southampton. I think they're a well-drilled side that probably would beat us, and it's going to be very interesting next week because Everton have lost 2 in a row, and I think that's maybe to do with squad depth. What do you think the future is? I mean, look, where do you think United? We're all United fans here, and we've all got an experience of how United deal with things. Where do you think this is heading? If you, in your opinion, where do you think it's heading? Do you think we're just going to keep doing this, or do you think the club will pull the plug at some point?
I just think it's set up now. I think you hear whispers from what you see on social media, seeing the way that the players are performing under him. I mean, like Beth said before, it's Arsenal yesterday, for Christ's sake. These players should be running through brick walls. Every one of them should want to be in this team. And we've all said about competition for places, how great it was to see. Because our midfield over the years has been nothing really. And you look now, we've got more or less 5 or 6 players fighting, for them positions in the middle. And yeah, the way I see it now, I mean, if it continues the way it's going, it'll be gone by Christmas. United will not mess about now. And that's the way it is at Manchester United. You used to get time. Again, it's because we had Sir Alex Ferguson. Look at what might have happened if Mark Robins didn't score that goal. The rest is history. But will Man United be willing to give Solskjaer the time that, some people might say he doesn't deserve the time now. His time is up.
Well, he's been here 2 years in December, hasn't he?
Exactly, yeah, but it's modern day football. A lot of fans don't have much patience. You know, they'll want to change it. But what they need to realise is Pochettino is there. If we make that decision tonight and click the fingers, don't be expecting, you know, Pep Guardiola style football, you know, next week against Everton, because it's not going to happen. We're going to be back really at stage one, because Pochettino will come in. There'll be players that he won't like. He'll want to bring his own players in. And it's just that whole cycle again. You know, again, I said last week, it'll be hitting the reset button, and we're going to have to really write probably the end of this season off.
What pisses me off the most is that I remember the end of Ollie's first season where he got the job, and then we went to Everton and we got battered. And then I think we lost to Huddersfield or Cardiff or something, and they played us off the park. And I said at the end of that season, I've had it with these players. I don't trust these players. That, you know, they can play well for 3 months, then they can play crap for 3 months. And a lot of those players are still at this football club, and they cannot be trusted. And I don't need to name names. If other people want to name names, that's up to them. You can figure it out. But there's enough players in that club who have proven they cannot be trusted in a Manchester United shirt, and yet they're still there. And for me, it's not really about the players. It's about the board. The board have not removed some of these players. They've put faith in these players. They've given new contracts to these players. They're still trying to give contracts to these players. And I think a manager could come in and do a better job. But I think while those players are still there, we are going to continue to have these problems. And, you know, we're already massively behind. I mean, Spurs have massively improved. Chelsea have improved. And Liverpool and Man City are going nowhere. So I don't even think we can get fourth anymore. So, yeah, I'd agree with Kev. I think it's inevitable he'll get the sack at some point, because if he doesn't get top four, he will get the sack. But as we move forward, I know Ricky wants to get into this, so I will go to you and Beth first. What's the way forward now? I mean, if Ollie suddenly decides he's going to go with a strong 11, whatever his strongest 11 is, I mean, he's shown no evidence of that, and we've had a catastrophic start to the season. What, to you, if you were naming that team against Everton, I mean, forget the Turkish side, we'll probably batter them 10-0 because we're so good in Champions League. I want to win in the bloody Premier League. What do you think he's got to do now? I mean, how severe would your changes be, Kev? Have you got an idea of what he should be getting on the pitch now, and who should be being discarded and forgotten about?
The thing for me is, I mean, Paul Scholes once famously said, you know, football's a game that's complicated by idiots. Solskjaer needs to look at that game midweek, and I've always been a firm believer, if you're performing in that shirt, you should be in it on merit. You deserve to be in the next game. Did he overthink things too much against Arsenal yesterday? You know, possibly, but that is going to be his downfall ultimately. That is what is going to cost him. Against Leipzig, you know, we sat back a lot. I mean, in fact, I'll throw the question out. If we look at Solskjaer at the minute, do we think that his best form, well, let's say formation tactic at Manchester United is counter-attacking football?
Yeah.
Some of our best performances, we've won at Man City, PSG in the Champions League, has been when we've gone away to teams and we allow them to, you know, have possession. Leipzig had it in the first half at Old Trafford, but bang, counter-attack, 1-0. We're quite happy to sit back. Solskjaer seems to have got that right, but it's different tactics for different games. That's what I don't think he's yet mastered. Sorry, Beth, to interrupt you then. I was on one.
No, you weren't interrupting. What I was just going to say is, obviously, at the start of the season, we were getting beat with that attacking formation, and we couldn't even score goals with the attacking formation. So then you just go more defensive, and then we play more defensive. We've not been playing attacking. Even though we won 5-0 against Leipzig, we weren't necessarily playing very attackingly. We've been playing quite defensive, and then he does do the counter-attack. And when it goes well, we often score quite a few goals. And then if we are playing defensive and they go defensive as well, like the Chelsea match, maybe we could have nicked a goal here or there, and no one would actually say the problem, which is we can't break teams down. That I don't think Ollie's worked out a way for this team to break teams down. Like, his first plan is counter-attack, and then after that, I've not seen much else. I've not seen us pass through the midfield and get at the top and score a goal. I mean, I've not seen that. I see us hit it down, Martial holds it up, a bit of link-up play, and then we stick it in the back of the net. I've not seen us pass through the midfield. I mean, at the likes of our midfield, the talent that we have in there, and Arsenal won the midfield battle yesterday, and that's why we only lost the match. And it's just, I don't see us not playing counter-attackingly.
I think you're onto something there, Beth, because actually, when Kev was saying it and then you started talking, I actually said after the match yesterday, and I don't know what anybody else thinks, I actually thought yesterday we played very defensive. I know it was a 4-4-2, but every time he picks McTominay and Fred, I think he's protecting his centre-backs. He's going to protect his centre-backs. When he played Matic on his own on last Wednesday, I think we did try to be more offensive. But I think against Chelsea and against Arsenal, we were more defensive. I couldn't believe how many times and how many players Arsenal had around our box. And then when we attacked, it was basically Greenwood, Rashford, Bruno, and then sometimes Pogba. We didn't get the fullbacks forward, and we certainly didn't get McTominay and Fred forward. So I think you're right. And I think when you look at the points accumulation at home, it's pitiful. We don't know how to play at home. We don't. We're very good away from home, and it's dawned on me we're very good at playing away from home because he plays counter-attacking football, and when we're at home, he doesn't know what he's doing. And this, add those 2 games that Ricky mentioned, the 2 draws at the end of the season, add them to the 1 point it's 3 points in 3 points in 6 games at Old Trafford. That is a disgrace. I don't care what anyone says.
I do think, though, I know you can't just say it's completely on this. I think we have massively, 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 massively missed Martial's hold-up play. I think it's so underrated. The way he holds the ball up, I've seen it get tossed to Rashford and Greenwood a few times. I mean, I'm not blaming them. They had nothing really to go off yesterday. And they can't hold it up. They just get tackled, they get intercepted. Something that Martial worked on is his hold-up play. And when he holds it up, it gives time for the other players to get in position and give space. And then you've got them pockets of space that you can pass to Rashford, you can pass to Bruno, and then we go more offensively. But yesterday, when the long balls were getting kicked up, I mean, it still is counter attacking. The long balls were getting kicked up. Rashford was just getting shoved off the ball. His body language is wrong for me playing as a centre forward. I don't think it's his best position. And Greenwood's not got the positional awareness yet to play up front. So we don't have anyone to hold it up for us at front, and everyone's getting space anyway. So I do think we missed him. I think we would have seen a bit of a different game if he did play. Maybe we might not have won. I think everyone still played very, very poorly, like appallingly, really. But he would have made a difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Ricky, you can have your say, but I think we missed Martial. I know you're going to say the same thing, but I don't think he would have made a massive difference yesterday because I think we were just so defensive. I think he would have held the ball up better, but you've got to support him.
He would definitely make a massive difference. I'm certain of that. But whether that leads to goals, you never know. We played pretty similarly against Leipzig, and Martial was vital, absolutely vital. So you just never know. You can't say, well, like I say, he does hold it up better. We would have won more free kicks in their half. We would have won more game time in their half, without any doubt. So that could lead to you getting a goal. It might not have done, but it could lead to you getting a goal. Now, if you look back at last season, I've mentioned this a few times, we missed Martial. It drives me mad, all this, people having a go at Anthony Martial. We missed him suspended last season. He either missed 8 games or 9 games. But in the 8, if it was 8 games, we scored 6 goals in the 8 games. If it was 9 games, we scored 7 goals in it. I know there's 2 blank sheets and either 6 or 7 single goals. We couldn't score more than 1 goal in any game while he was missing, right? He came back, the first game back, we beat Norwich 3-1. I know it's only Norwich, but we played teams as bad as that. So some of them games were cup ties against poor teams. Anyway, we missed Martial so badly, and people don't realise it, and people don't admit it. Some people have just got their other favourites. Martial knocked spots off the other forwards, absolutely knocked spots off them. Now, next week against Everton, I've said this already, against Everton or against the Turkish team on Wednesday, it might well be Rashford or Greenwood who scored a goal, all the goals, and then they'll be getting the plaudits. But if Martial doesn't play, he won't score any goals.
100%. His runs off the ball are fantastic.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's football intelligence, isn't it? Being able to see
Look at the last 4 games. Look at the last 4 games. He's not played against Chelsea 0-0. He's not played against Arsenal. We got beat 1-0. He played against PSG. We won 2-1. He played against Leipzig. We won 5-0. You know what I mean?
But it's like Firmino at Liverpool, isn't it?
He might have had a penalty if he was playing yesterday. You never know. I mean,
he seems to win a penalty every time he plays, don't he? So we might well have had a penalty yesterday.
Go on then, Ricky. You've got this team that you think's going to. Well, I don't know what you think it's going to do, but we're all ears.
We need to get more players in the team who look after the ball better. Last week, against Leipzig. And look, the game was pretty similar to yesterday's game in many ways. We were under pressure for an hour, but we managed to get a goal. Really on the breakaway, and it was a lovely bit of play by Pogba and a great finish by Greenwood. But we played better. And well, look, what I'm saying here, you've just admitted it yourself. We played better against Newcastle and we played better against Chelsea. They're our best 2 games of the season so far, which is I'm talking about in the league. Look at the other games: lost 6-1, lost 3-1. Can't count Brighton. Should have been about 5-2 for Brighton before it went to, you know what I mean. Our best 2 performances, and then obviously yesterday, Newcastle and Chelsea. Without a doubt, as bad as Chelsea was, it's our second best performance of the season. Juan Mata played in both them games. We look after the ball better when Mata plays, and we play better. Matic looks after the ball better. Marshall's going to play anyway. But those 3 players, if they're all playing at the same time in place of other players, we will be better. Marshall will play anyway. Matic isn't certain to play. Mata's not certain to play. But Mata should be in Greenwood's place. Matic has got to play in midfield. His line-breaking passes, as they call them, are the best in the club. Matic is. He'll be in Marshall's feet. It's like a jigsaw of a football team. If you've got Marshall up front, there's my hand. You've got Marshall up front. He needs to be hit with the ball. So he's part of a jigsaw. Now, Fred's passes regularly are 2 yards wide of the mark. McTominay's passes, they're regularly 2 yards wide of the mark. So Marshall will play better if Matic is playing. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Matic will hit him with the ball better. And the same applies to Mata. And then Mata's got that little bit of ingenuity. He'll get people in behind. He probably Wan-Bissaka scored in one. Mata didn't put him in, but he scored in one game that Mata played, Newcastle away. He'll get in behind more. Everybody thinks Greenwood's going to set the world alight. But if Mata plays, the other players around him will get better passes and the team will play better. Wan-Bissaka will play better if he's got Juan Mata to play with than he will if he's got Greenwood to play with. So we need Mata on that flank. We need Matic in midfield. And I'm sorry because the internet's going to break now. We've got to give Van der Beek a chance at number 10. We really have. We've got to simplify the game. I've said this, Mark. I've said this when we were getting beat 6-1, 3-1, and all that. We've got to simplify the game. We need all the players on the same wavelength, all on the same page. And let's give look, the way it's going, it can't go any worse.
You can't drop Bruno, though.
Well, I'm sorry, but it needs to be tried.
He's the best. He's the only reason we're not a mid-table club. And also, Van der Beek's not a number 10. I've got to fight back on this. He's not a number 10. He's a right-sided midfielder.
When we played against Leipzig, I thought Van der Beek did quite well. It just the simple stuff, the short passes, quick moving. His position was great. But I'd like my number 10 to be very creative, the way that Bruno is. Like the balls over the top. Yeah, Bruno, he gives away a lot of the balls, and I'm one of Bruno's biggest fan. I didn't think he played well yesterday. I think he should have had more discipline to try just keeping hold of the ball and simpler passes. He was giving it away a lot. But with Bruno on the pitch, you're always guaranteed like a bit of a moment of maybe magic and that amazing ball over that leads us to the goal. I don't think Van der Beek is the number 10 that's going to provide the creativeness that Bruno would play. I'd like to see him play in the same team. I want to see him play in the same team. That's what I want.
I think that the big issue here is, and I'll ask you all this, Kev, is does he stick with that diamond? Does he go back to this 4-3-3 with 2 wide players that he doesn't seem to have? And what, within that answer, what do you do with someone like Paul Pogba?
I think he will stick with the diamond. And I think you touched on it earlier. I think it's purely because at the back, Harry Maguire, his head's still in grease. He's been absolutely shocking. Looks a shadow of the former player that he was. Mm-hmm. Lindelof has always needed a babysitter next to him, somebody to talk him through a game because he doesn't take any responsibility for his own game, which is why he's trying to play 2 kind of holding midfielders to sit in front of them because, they did all right defensively last year towards the end of the season, but I don't know whether we've just been found out or Maguire, Luke Shaw's getting into the team. We desperately need Tellez back, somebody to, you know, put pressure on him, because Luke Shaw's probably one of the first names on the team sheet every week. And
probably
does
our
he deserve to be?
today. That's how bad we were.
Yeah.
With all due respect to Luke Shaw, I like him, but you know, your left back shouldn't be man of the match against Arsenal.
No, and it says a lot. And then the what was the question on Mr. Pogba?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're going to play that diamond, then, you know, does Pogba keep his place on the left, or do you give Donny a chance there and keep Fred and Matic? You know, what do you do with Pogba? Because, you know, I think both those 2 penalties, I've said it and I'll say it again, they were petulant, and he wouldn't do it for France.
No. The thing that I just couldn't even believe why he even put a foot in. I mean, if Bellerin's going towards goal, I totally get it. You know, it's a last-ditch tackle. If he's took one for the team or whatever, he's not even going towards goal. What is going through his head at that moment in time? You know, again, is it a lack of confidence with Pogba that he thinks that he has to track back and he's become this box-to-box midfielder, and he shouldn't even be in his own penalty area? We've got other players on the pitch that are capable of doing that work for him. But again, I've said my piece on Pogba before. I've taken a lot of stick for it online and stuff. So I think everybody knows my views on Pogba at the minute. For me, I would pick Van der Beek over him, because I think more long-term, if we're looking long-term, Van der Beek will be at Man United longer than Paul Pogba will.
That's a good point. Beth, for you, what do you do going forward now for United? And look, I refuse to get into blaming Paul Pogba for yesterday. I know he gave the penalty away, but I think Arsenal were very unlucky not to be 2-0 up at half-time. And, you know, what did we do to get anything more than a lucky draw out of that? So, look, I mean, people can blame Pogba if they like. I just don't know what... I personally probably would go with Kev. I'd give Van der Beek a go and play Van der Beek, Fred, Matic and Bruno. That's how I would go from now on.
I mean, yesterday, we were out tactic. They played man-to-man. We didn't know how to deal with it. We couldn't deal with the high press. I don't think people knew the positions well. They weren't sticking in the positions and doing the job properly. Players are getting run past. It wasn't all down to the formation. I think all he needs to pick a formation to get the majority of his best players in the formation, and he needs to stick with it, and they need to be very well drilled on it. I mean, I think you've got to play Tuanzebe in the centre-back pairing for his pace. You've got to play your best players. You need... I mean, I think Lindelof's been playing better than Maguire recently, but for his aerial presence, you have Maguire and Tuanzebe in there for pace and aerial presence. You need to get your fullbacks higher up the pitch. I mean, they're great defensively, but you see them holding back going forward. And is that because they're scared when we go on the attack? We've not got the defensive cover to deal with it. And I'd stick with the diamond. I'd play Matic at the base of the diamond. I think he has to play. The problem is we couldn't keep hold of the ball yesterday because we have no one who can play passes out from the back. And Matic does that very, very well. You need Fred on the right side or on the left side. I didn't even mind for his energy. I mean, with Matic's steadiness and his leadership from the back, you've got Fred's energy, and you just say to Fred, do your job, nick the ball back, pass it sideways because you've not really got the ball distribution to play a fancy pass up front, pass it sideways, and then that frees up space for Bruno and possibly either Van der Beek or Pogba. It doesn't make a massive difference. Based on form, I'd probably go with Van der Beek to unlock the spaces. And then you've got, I think Rashford plays better when he's with Martial anyway, and I think Martial and Rashford up front is a great partnership. Martial can hold the ball off, and Rashford and Martial link up really well in that space, and I think that's his best team, and that's what he's going to move forward with. I mean, I'm not going to go in on McTominay, but the problem with him being on the pitch is he doesn't offer as much. He offers us very little. He can do the donkey work, yeah, but can he not come on at the 60th minute and do that as a sub if we need something a bit more defensive? I see him get skipped past a lot, and I see him give the ball away quite a bit. I mean, in the last minutes of the game yesterday, it was a vital moment for us to try and get up the pitch, and I've just seen him give it away. At least if you've got Bruno or Pogba there, they can make possibly the killer pass. They've got that in the locker. But we need to stick to a formation. People need to know the jobs, and you need to stick to it, and you need to improve on that. We can't just keep changing it, and players don't know what they're doing.
That guy, I'm exposing you. That guy, the liar, because you don't know anything about Van der Beek. You're just listening to Sky Sports pundits who've never watched Ajax, because he's not a number 10. Ajax don't even play with a number 10. He's not a number 10. I'm telling you now. He would play where Fred played yesterday, and he'd do a great job in it. Now, I'd give him a chance where Pogba's playing, but he's not a number 10 and he can defend. And he's product of the Ajax system. What's the Ajax system? Passing and pressing.
I never seen him play number 10 for Ajax. I remember that run they got to the Champions League final. I didn't watch many games, but from what I've seen of him, I wouldn't have classed him as a number 10, really.
The scary thing is that I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thinks that he can only play Bruno or Van der Beek. And many United fans are just stunned by this, who actually know about Van der Beek. They're like, stop listening to Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. He's not a number bloody 10. But maybe Ole didn't want him. Maybe he's just been given him and he thinks he's a number 10. I don't know. It's mad.
What I don't get is when we played at Newcastle, that short time when Bruno was, I know it's only a short time, but Bruno and Van der Beek were on the pitch together.
Him and Mata and Bruno.
And that's when we got all them goals when they were playing together. I don't get how he can't see it in that sense. But and then Pogba, I think he works better as a impact sub. I mean, for 90 million, is that really the best option? I don't know. He's always got a mistake in him. That's the problem.
I think that Donny van der Beek reminds me a lot of Ander Herrera under Van Gaal towards the end, where the fans were screaming for him to play Herrera and he just wouldn't do it. And it ultimately cost him his job. So, Ollie, take note, start playing Van der Beek in the midfield. But look, this is going to be the best question of the night for the three of you. And we'll start with Ricky on this one. Quite a difficult question, maybe. Maybe it's an easy one. 100 games in. Has there been progress under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and is it enough?
No.
I think there's been progress, but not enough progress. You can see what he's trying to do, but I don't know if he's got the capabilities to do it. I don't know if the players can be motivated and he can get that into them, and he still doesn't know his best team, which isn't helpful.
Ricky,
we've changed loads and loads of players. One or two of them are improvements. One or two of them have gone backwards. Some of the players we got rid of are better than the players that we've replaced them with. Everybody seems to think that he's got rid of, as they call it, deadwood. Some of them are still top players. Don't laugh at me. I watch Ashley Young play for Inter Milan. We've not got a full-back as good as Ashley Young today. We still haven't. He's a top player, two-footed, great passer of the ball, good crosser of the ball.
Two-footed, Ashley Young?
Yeah, left-footed.
He's the most right-footed player I've ever seen.
Two-footed, mate. He's absolutely class with his left foot for a right-footed player. We've just gone backwards with certain players. We've gone forwards in certain other players, and on average, it's just a level. It's just leveled out. It's just still the same. I think we'll probably get. Did we get 66 points 2 years in a row? Is that what happened? I think it was, wasn't it? We'll do well. Look, it's looking like at the minute that we'll do well to beat it again. And look. If you look at all the players that he's got rid of, if you still had Ashley Young, Ander Herrera, Fellaini, Lukaku, I could name probably another four. If we still had all those players, I'm not saying they're all better. Some of them are worse than the replacements, and some of them are better than the replacements. So it's dead steady. If we still had all the players he got rid of, and we didn't have any of the players that he signed, we still get 66 points.
Yeah, I tell you what, you're probably on something there, because the one that's jumping out at me is the 80 million hat rack, Harry Maguire. Because Chris Smalling, I know you're a fan of him, but, would we be in a worse position if we had Smalling playing instead of Maguire? And that, I think that comparison probably sums up the 2 years for me when you talk about progress, because massive amount of money spent for Harry Maguire, and I think Chris Smalling's probably equal. And it sums up what United have been for the last 8 years. Massive expense for very little improvement, not the progress. But Kev, what do you think? Has there been progress under Ollie, and is it enough?
I did see progress. I think that run towards the end of his first sort of season, when we were all banging the drum for him to get the job, went on a fantastic run. Same last season, towards the end of the season, I think he totally overachieved at Man United with what he had. I think a lot of teams fell away towards the end of the season, which, again, you have to win the games. We got into the top four. That was viewed as progress. But at the start of this season and the way things are going, the way that the players look, the way Man United are performing, for me, I mean, one sentence that just sums it up is it's one step forward and two steps back. Every week we win a game and we think, get in, here we go. Season starts, lift off. It starts from today. And then the next week it's just like, you know, you just shot straight back down. So at this moment in time, I cannot lie and say there's been progress. I will say there's been, with the style of football, which we got away from Van Gaal, Mourinho, them dark days. I did like the fact I could see a pattern of play playing out from the back and all this, but there's just that one style of football, like I said, and I think he's set up for counter-attacking football. When it comes to playing balls over a press, trying to beat that, and, you know, it's just non-existent at the minute. It's just one style of football.
I think you're right. Okay? I think gradually what we're seeing, very sadly, is the erosion of the dressing room, which is what we've seen 3 times already. And I don't think he can get that squad back, and I don't think he's got the board that will back him over the squad. And I think it's going to be probably going to be the long goodbye. I just don't know how long it's going to be. But what I would say is, and I'm sure Ricky would agree with this, the one player that I think he's improved more than any manager before is Anthony Martial. I think he's turned him into a striker, and is that a surprise, considering Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a very, very analytic striker as we used to have on the bench. So I think Martial's been an improvement. But I almost feel like he's a reserve team coach. He's a Nicky Butt doing a Man United job. And I think that's always been the fear. I think we always had that fear. And I hope he proves us wrong. But I just feel that even when we were all singing Ollie's at the wheel, we all knew it was a massive risk. And one thing always sticks in my head: no interim manager's ever been successful, and when they've been given the job. And again, I think this might be heading the way. The next question, and I will answer this one, but I'll let you three go first, is if I said to you now, we'll start with you, Beth. If I said to you now, Pochettino can start the job tomorrow, but if you don't take him tomorrow, you don't get him, and you're stuck with Ollie for the next 2 years, for the good of Manchester United, what would you do?
I mean, it's a tough question, but it's such a hard question. But
welcome to the United stand.
I'm going to stick with Ollie. I don't want to see the cycle again and again of repeating managers. I mean, I want to give him time. I know he's had a lot of time as it is, but I don't want to wait again for a manager to come in, get his players in, get his style of play. I don't want to wait for that. I want to stick with Ollie and see if he can turn it around. I mean, I've seen stuff in him, like he knows the Manchester United way. He has got the best out of certain players. Certain players we're still waiting to see the best out of. But the thing that annoys me about him is I don't think he makes his subs quick enough. I don't think he likes changing his tactics mid-game, which is very, very needed. It was needed yesterday, but it never happened. I think he does have favourites in the team. I mean, from his team selections, you can see that. And I don't think he's harsh enough. I mean, you don't know what's going on inside the dressing room. From what I can see, I mean, I like a manager to be harsh. I want the players to go in there and know if they've played badly and they've not put their all into it, that they're gonna get told. But I don't see that with Ollie. But he's a club legend. He did very well to get us third with the team he had last season. He didn't really get backed very much. I mean, they bought him a midfielder, which we didn't really need. The things that we did need, he didn't get. And I want to stick with him. I don't want to see the recycling of managers again. I don't think Pochettino's big enough or proved to be an absolutely amazing top 6 manager for me to turn around and go, yeah, sack Ollie now and get him in tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you might not want Pochettino, really. Ricky, same question. If I give you Pochettino tomorrow, one chance, or keep Ollie, what would you do?
I'll answer that in about 10 words, but just very quickly, I saw a guy in the messages there saying what a top player Anthony Martial is, which reminded me of a previous thing that you said. And Ollie has probably improved him. He has coached him. He's worked with him, and Ollie was a great striker himself. It doesn't mean that you can teach that, though. No. You know what I mean? You can be a best player. You can be the best player in the world. Lionel Messi won't be able to teach you what he can do, no matter how hard he tries. So what I wanted to say was, Anthony, if people are saying, I mean, people might say, well, he's old up, plays better. They might say all sorts of things. But if people are saying it because he scored 23 goals, I'd like to point out that he scored 17 goals under Van Gaal. And then for 2 years, Mourinho messed him about, didn't pick him regularly enough. If he'd have just been playing consistently from the Van Gaal days, he would now be scoring 23 goals, even if the coach never spoke to him for 3 years. He's just a great player, Anthony Martial. So that's me one on that. The answer to would I take Poch if you was to force me into a corner and say, look, it's got to be now or never, I would say, yeah, do it.
Ooh, now Kev, you're the decider then. So Beth's staying, Ricky's doing. I can actually agree with both of you. I totally agree with what Beth's saying because I don't want to see the cycle continue. But I also look at what Ricky's saying and saying, look, is it going to change? If you've got the opportunity to change, should you just change it? What do you think, Kev?
I'm going to have to side with Beth on that. She probably backs up a lot of the reasons that I would have given personally as well. And as much as I've said tonight, you know, I don't understand his team selection, where we're heading and stuff. Just the thought of another transitional sort of season. You know, if we give him till the end of this season, we've got another, you know, transfer window, you know, let him get players in and stuff. But I mean, if we write that off by bringing Pochettino in, I know it's a hypothetical question this evening, to bring him in tomorrow, it's his ways, his new, you know, style of playing, players that he won't like, starting to get rid of people, rip up the squad. I couldn't bear going through it all again. I think that's why I would be patient with Solskjaer and just see where this journey takes us. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people watching and in the comment section saying, you know, we're going to end up getting relegated and all this kind of stuff. But no, I would just give him time. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if it was a top class manager, and a lot of people will say that Pochettino is, if it was somebody like, that sounds a bit controversial being on the United stand, but if you said Pep Guardiola, you know, you could have him tonight, you know, I think I would probably go with that. It's
interesting because a lot of people saying that I'm fence sitting. I'm not. I said I'd let everyone go first, so I'll give you my thought now. But I wouldn't make the change for Pochettino, and I've been very consistent on this. I like Pochettino. I just don't think he will. I think we'll be in the same position in 2 years. I don't see a manager there that comes into Man United and is the right profile. I think if Klopp was available, I'd do it. I'm not doing it for Poch. This is a man who's never won anything. People talk about his Champions League run. I've never seen such a fluky run in my bloody life. He got 8 points in the Champions League group and basically spammed his way to the final. I like him as a coach, but this is a massive job. This is a rebuild job. Whoever takes it on, it will be another rebuild. I think there will be somebody coming in, by the way, if you're Ollie out. I definitely do. I don't think he'll be here. I don't think what Beth and Kev are saying quite rightly will actually happen. I don't think he will get the time because this board, as Kev said about half an hour ago, they'll push the button when we don't get top 4. And I don't think we're getting top 4. So who the next manager is probably going to be Pochettino. But if you're asking me if I'd change it tomorrow for Poch, no. And I will say it when Pochettino gets the job. I'm not convinced. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not convinced that he's the right man. And I've seen a lot of Pochettino. I liked him at Spurs. I watched a lot of him at Spurs. And I guarantee these people who are shouting for Pochettino now, you'll be shouting Pochettino out very quickly because you don't know what he is. He's stubborn. He doesn't make substitutions very quickly. And he's not this genius footballing, you know, attacking footballing coach you think he is. But, you know, what do I know? What do I know? But I agree he's probably better than Ollie. That's the thing. But is that what we are now? Or let's just get something better than what we've got. It's piss poor planning in this club for too long. Mourinho, I agreed with. Van Gaal, I would think was a risk. Moyes was never the right man. And you know, the board really should have took more time over Ollie. They jumped on a fan bandwagon and they're business people. They should have waited till the end of the season. And if they had done, I don't think he would have got the job anyway because it all fell apart, didn't it? So to me, it always goes back to the board. And you know, I despair at another cycle of what we will see, where the board get away with it and another manager falls on his sword. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. I've got some other topics to talk about here, which is we're going to use the links in the video description for this, everybody. We've only started it today. We're on Flick now. Free to download, link in the video description. On there's loads of quizzes, there's loads of polls, and actually it's a bit like a WhatsApp group. There's loads of different like transfer chat, general Man United chat, Champions League chat, Solskjaer's first 100 games chat. But there's a few polls on there, and I'm going to go through these and chuck them round the guests for the last 10 minutes or so. So give us a follow. If download it, links in the video description. It's free. United Stand on Flick, very active. You can be on it 24/7 if you want to be. Right, the first question, sort of a thing, not a fingers on buzzers, but we'll quickly go around. Rate Solskjaer's first 100 games out of 10 10 being the best, Beth, where would you put it? And you can go 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, or 9 to 10. Out of 10, how would you rate his first 100 games as manager of Manchester United?
6.
6 for you. Ricky?
6.5 maybe.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, Beth. Yeah.
Kev?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I'm not just saying it. I'd have to go 6. It's sort of just above average, in it. It's not great. You get a 6 when you're playing a game of football. I don't think you'd
Average,
be too happy, would you? Yeah, coming off the field. All right.
So everybody who's on Flick has been voting on these, and I can tell you that 7 to 8, 18%, 9 to 10, 2%, and 64% of the vote was 5 or 6 out of 10. So I think we can say that, that's safely the right one. Let me have a look at another one. That's not working now. Here we go. This is a good one. We'll start off with you, Kev, on this one. Can Manchester United win trophies under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? It's a yes or no.
Yes, I do believe. I don't have to state what trophy do I have, but we were close.
You're not having the
last
Community
season.
Shield. You're not having the Community Shield. Well, you've got to win a trophy to get the Community Shield.
I was going to say, you have to win the FA Cup or the Premier League.
I'm an idiot.
Win that.
Yeah.
You've got to win something to get the Community Shield, to be fair. Although Moyes didn't, did he?
We could have a great run in the Carabao Cup. It's got 3 handles, that trophy. It's very prestigious.
Ricky, yes or no?
Yeah,
Trophies under Ole?
I agree with Kev. I mean, if he's going to talk about the FA Cup or the League Cup, yeah, we could win a trophy. We could win a trophy this season, winning.
Well, to be fair, if you look at the Champions League form, we're one of the best teams in Europe. Unfortunately, we're one of the worst teams in England. Beth?
That would be a crazy season, that.
Yeah, I think we can. But the only thing that makes me think maybe not is the mentality, again, of all the players. I mean, we got to quite a few semi-finals. We bottle it. We're inconsistent. We bottle it a lot. So I think we can if we can get our consistency right. But it's all ifs.
If, buts, and maybes. And when somebody just said, what you're on about, best team in Europe. Mate, we beat PSG and we stuffed Leipzig. On those 2 games in the Champions League, we're probably the best team in Europe at the moment. I don't genuinely think we can beat Bayern Munich. I'm just saying, on results, there will be some little Italian boy with pictures of Scott McTominay in his wall saying, I love Manchester United, they're the best team in the world, because he's got no idea what we're doing in the Premier League. He's just seen us in the Champions League. So, on Champions League form, I'm fully aware of the Premier League. Let's have a look at this one. Okay. I mean, look, I will read this one out. I don't really need to ask anybody. Are you Ollie in or Ollie out? 59% are Ollie in on the Flick app and 40% are Ollie out, which actually, I'll get your thoughts on that. Start with you, Ricky. Ollie in 60%, Ollie out 40%. Do you think that's about right for our fan base at the moment? I'm quite pleased with that. I think it's probably about right where we are.
60% Ollie in, did you say? And 40%?
Yeah, and 40% Ollie out.
I thought it might have been the other way around, to be honest, or 50-50 at least. Yeah.
Well, it just shows that if I'm Ollie, and look, if you are watching Ollie, I know you do, you've got a little bit of room, but it could swing. It's becoming a bit Brexit for me, but there you go. Beth, do you think that's a fair representation at the moment?
I agree with Ricky. From what I've seen, of things, I would have thought it would have been slightly the other way, but yeah, I think he's on thin ice. I mean, how long can he keep winning in the Champions League? I think that's keeping him in his job at the minute. If we don't win against Everton, I think that's he's on the edge then of the sack.
Well, look, if you don't agree, everybody, you can still vote on these. The app is free to download. You can follow United Stand on Flick and get involved in all the chat and all the polls on there. But it's 60% Ollie in, 40% Ollie out, Kev. Do you think that's about right?
Yeah, well, it kind of restores me faith in United fans actually looking at that. There's so many people that actually sort of feel the same thing, because, I'm watching the messages come through here now, and most of the night I've just been reading Ollie out. So a few Ollie ins have just rattled in, and somebody else in the comment section saying that I look like Lee Mack. I am not Lee Mack, just to clarify that.
You're way skinnier than him.
Exactly.
You're more like that teabag from Prison Break, as we've always said.
I've had that one before, yeah.
Okay, got another one here. We'll start with you, Kev, on this one. Werewolf. This is from you. You might lose a bit of faith here. Where will Man United finish the Premier League season? We've got 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th or below.
at this moment in time, I'm going to have to say 5th or below. I cannot even sugarcoat that and try and be positive. After the weekend we've had, that result against Arsenal, on current form, 5th or below. There are teams better than us in this league at this minute in time that are performing.
It's difficult as well, isn't it? Because as I said, Liverpool are going to be in there. Man City are going to be in there. Chelsea have got to expect are going to be in there, and they've hit a bit of form now. Spurs under Mourinho look revitalised and consistent. And then, forget what Arsenal beat us. So I don't see, already it looks like a difficult job, Ricky, to get there. Would you agree with Kev on that one?
Yeah, I'd be amazed just looking at the other 5 of the big 6, let alone some of the teams that are overperforming at the minute. I don't know if they're, West Ham have been good for a while. They were a bit unlucky even to lose at Anfield. Southampton are doing great. I can't see Leeds or Villa staying up there, but they're doing well at the minute. But at the minute, if I had to have a stab at where we would finish, I would say definitely all of the top 5. City, the big 5. City, Liverpool, can't see us finishing above them. Chelsea, Spurs, he seems to have them playing now. Arteta's definitely doing a great job. I can't see us finishing in the top 5. And then I wouldn't be surprised one little bit if 1 or 2, and I didn't mention Leicester or Wolves, by the way. Wouldn't surprise me if 1, 2, even 3 unfashionable clubs finished above us if we're not careful.
It would definitely be gone if that happens. Beth, do you fancy us for top 4?
My United bias wants to say I do, but the way that we're playing, if nothing changes, then no, not with the competition we've got there. I think each of them teams that are the top the top 6 teams, as you say, I think every single one of them probably wants it more than us, from what I've seen through the attitude of the players. So at the moment, the way it stands, I don't think we can knock Chelsea, Tottenham, even Arsenal look better than us. Liverpool and City are basically guaranteed. We're not going to knock them off the way that we're going. So 5th or below, probably.
Well, 61% of people reckon we're going to finish 5th or below on the Flick app. So there you go. If you want to get involved in that, everyone, it's free to download. Links in the video description. There's general chat on there. There's quizzes. There's polls. They're being updated all the time. United Stand on Flick. Download it and get involved in the chat. There's even a Goldbridge career mode chat there, which I must have a look at that. Hopefully they're being nice. Talk about bloody McTominay. Get him out. Anyway, look. It's not the show we wanted it to be, but we've had some really good chat there about where we're at. And the interesting thing is that next Sunday's show, we will know what's happened against Everton going into that international break. And just very, very quickly, that, Kev, is a must-win game now, because we know what happens on international breaks. Players go off to certain clubs, certain countries, and then it's like they've had a few pints. They're loose lips, isn't it? So yeah. We had it. It was Poch in after the bloody transfer window. It's going to be 10. He's got to win on Saturday. A draw is, Well, I didn't think a draw was good enough against Arsenal, but he's got to beat Everton. Yeah,
we just got to go for it, haven't we? You just hope that on the training ground he's looking at these players and he needs to come up with some kind of a system where they blend in and integrate and work as a team. But again, just touching on what I said earlier, these players, when they go out wearing that shirt, the minute they cross that line, they should be. You touched on the Everton game a couple of seasons ago under Solskjaer. There was just no effort, no running, no passion or anything. So we're just going to have to say now, aren't we? The season starts this weekend. If we can get a win, but that's all you can do at the minute to try and remain positive. But yeah, of course, we want a good performance. We'd love to go out there 3 or 4, goals. But if I was a betting man, I certainly wouldn't be walking into the bookies and weighing in on United to win, because at the minute it's Everton on the back of a couple of dodgy results as well. So I dread to think what's going to happen. But you've got to remain positive. That's what I would say.
Some words of wisdom from you, Beth?
That's what we say every week, isn't it? Our season starts now. We've got to win midweek, but then against Everton, they've got a great manager in Ancelotti, and if he does what most managers do against us, combat our style with defensive but then high press, and I I don't know. I think what I want to see players go out there with aggression. I want to see them going into tackles. I want the tempo from the start to be set. We start off sluggish most matches. I mean, is that due to how we warm up? I don't know, but we start sluggish most matches. We need the mindset there. We need to go play attacking football, and I think Ollie's got to start his team that has the best chance of winning the match, and I think he should stick with what he did against Leipzig and go from there. I just want to see our motivation back. That's all.
Yeah, Ricky, it's Ollie's not done well at Goodison, really. He tried the diamond last year and it was boring, and the year before we got absolutely dominated. So, you know, it's probably not the game that you want, but then at least it's away.
Yeah, you touched on the Everton from a couple of years back, and Kevin went back on it as well. I'd like to something that does my shedding about that game is the manager is blaming the players, but he needs to look at himself about that game as well. The back four that day, I don't know if any of you can remember the actual lineup of the back four, but he started the game with Lindelof at right back. Before I carry on here, I know you've got to go out there with spirit. I know you've got to go out there, roll your sleeves up. You've got to get stuck in. But for God's sake, give yourself a chance by putting the players in the better positions.
Yeah.
You know, let's start by getting the team right. He started with Lindelof at right back. He had Jones and Smalling at centre backs. He had Diego Dalot at left back. He had Ashley Young on the bench. Ashley Young's a better left back than Diego Dalot, and he's a better right back than Lindelof. Now, at half-time, they were 2-0 down then. It's okay saying, well, they've still got another two. The game changes. There's no truer saying than goals change games. The game was really, I know you can get back, but the game was really done. We were 2-0 down at half-time. At half-time, he took Jones off. He put Lindelof to centre-back, and he brought Young on. And he brought Young on at right back, by the way. I'd have put Dalot to right back and Young to left back. Young plays left back a lot and Dalot doesn't. So he just got it wrong from start to finish in that game, and then puts all the blame on the players. Like I said, I know they've got to work harder, they've got to roll the sleeves up, but you've got to give yourself your best chance by getting your best players in the best positions. And I hope he does that this week, because if he doesn't, we ain't going to win there again.
Well, look, really enjoyed the show. Hope you have as well. Smash a like on the video for all our guests. And look, you know, we want to be talking about good results, and hopefully we will do next Sunday. Thanks for coming on, Kev.
Thanks very much for having me. It's just a shame we couldn't be celebrating a victory over Arsenal, but we move on to next week and we'll see what happens.
He's going to play that guitar if we win next week. He's got a bit of Smiths he's going to play. Yeah. Beth, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I hope next week we're talking about a better result, but we'll see.
And Ricky, cheers, pal.
Thanks a lot, mate. All the best.
Make sure you download the Flick app and get involved in those polls and everything like that, because we're bringing them into the shows, especially on the morning show, and it's free to do, and you can get chatting 24/7 with people. Really enjoyed the show. Just don't enjoy what we're talking about, but really good chat as ever, and appreciate everyone tuning in live and those who are not watching it live. And we'll speak to you. We've got press conference reaction tomorrow, preview tomorrow. I need to do a bit of research on this Turkish side. Don't know much about them, but I'm sure it'll be a Turkish delight. But speak to you in a bit.